Hello, all you lovely people, and welcome to another video of mine. Well, I finally sold my Xbox Series S. I have mixed feelings about it, and that's why I've made this video. Now, if you've been following me, then you know that I even compared the Xbox Series S to the PlayStation 5 because I have both the consoles. And for quite some time, I've really been happy with my Xbox Series S. So the question is, why did I sell it? And did I buy any other console after that? Or am I still happy with my PlayStation 5 and my laptop? Because I do PC gaming as well. So these are some of the questions that I am going to be talking about in today's video. So kindly stick around till the end of the video because if you've been thinking about buying an Xbox Series S or an Xbox Series X or even a PlayStation 5 or maybe a PC to game on it, I think you've come to the right video, and hopefully, I will be able to answer some of the questions that have been lingering in your mind. With that said, let's get started, folks. Okay, so if you've been following me and my gaming channel, let me tell you that I actually started with the Xbox Series S when it comes to the current gen of gaming. I won't exactly call it next gen because we're midway into this whole current gen consoles. So, current gen consoles. Xbox Series was the first one. Prior to that, I had an Xbox One, and honestly, affordability was one of the key reasons as to why I chose to start off with the Xbox Series S. So that was number one. Number two was the sleek and compact form factor. So it had a very minimal footprint and it could easily squeeze into any part of your living room, den, or even your bedroom. It was compact, it had sharp edges, and again, I loved the form factor. In fact, it was very light as well. It weighed less than 2 kilos. So it was a very light, compact machine that you could even take along with you if you were traveling somewhere. Provided you had a TV that you could access, you could just hook it up to that television and start gaming while you were traveling as well. So these were some of the reasons as to why I purchased the Xbox Series S in the first place. And of course, it allowed me to access next gen titles. That was one of the biggest factors as to why I wanted to get the Xbox Series S. And with the Xbox Series S, I could play all the titles that were available on the Series X as well. Of course, not at those resolutions, but a dial down resolution, but still, all the titles were still available on the Xbox Series S. This means that all the next gen titles were available on the Xbox Series S. So I was coming from the PlayStation 4 Pro. So that meant that I would no longer be able to get my hands on those exclusive next gen titles. But with the Xbox Series S, that was possible. And that was probably my key reason as to why I wanted to buy the Xbox Series S. Now, as I started gaming on the Xbox Series S, I kept wanting more because I always felt like I was limited when it comes to the resolution. And coming from a PlayStation 4 Pro, which was really good when it comes to the resolution, I started to feel like something was lacking. That's why I finally ended up buying the PlayStation 5 as well. And man, oh man, it's a great console. And you also get access to all those titles that I could get my hands on, even with PlayStation 4, like God of War, Horizon, Uncharted, some of these exclusive PlayStation titles. Spider Man, a big one. Yeah. So the Xbox Series S, although it had really good titles like Gears, you had Forza, and you had first day releases as well on the Xbox Series S. But again, as I started gaming on my PlayStation 5 and even my PC, that was the last piece of gaming equipment that I ended up buying. And when I started gaming on PC, there were so many graphical options that you're literally spoiled for choice. And that's when I felt the pinch. I felt like the Xbox Series S was starting to lag behind my PC and my PlayStation 5. And of course, there was a reason behind it. Although it did have next gen capabilities, when it comes to the hardware, it definitely was lagging behind the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. So here's the thing. The reason why I wanted to kind of move away from the Xbox Series S was because of the resolution. Also, while I was gaming, I felt like one of the biggest things that was a problem or an issue on my Xbox Series S, the reason why I said mine was because I had the older version. The new version of the Xbox Series S, especially the one which comes in black, they have 1 terabyte of storage. But the one that I had only had 512 GB of internal storage, out of which I could only access 360, I think, GB of storage. And that's very less given the fact that these games, these next gen titles, are massive in terms of file size. So we're talking about 80 gigs, 100 gigs, 150 gigs when it comes to one single game. And if you play 3 games like that simultaneously, you have already filled up your internal storage. So, one of the biggest restrictions that I felt while I was gaming on the Xbox Series S was definitely the storage. Second was the resolution because, hey, I already had the PlayStation 5 and I already have a PC. So, if I wanted to play the same games, I could play it at a higher resolution on these other consoles, the PlayStation 5 and the PC. But the storage was a limitation. So, and I have these devices in different rooms in my house. So, that is one of the other things that I quickly want to touch upon. And I want to share my experience as to why I moved over from the Xbox Series S. Okay, now I've been telling that I moved over from the Xbox Series S quite a few times in this video. The reason why I'm saying I moved over from the Xbox Series S is because I moved over to the Xbox Series X. Well, obviously, because I wanted the graphical fidelity in all the games that I was playing. And like I told you, I have these devices set up in different rooms, so connected to different televisions. So that gives me access to play anywhere I want. And it gives me that flexibility of moving from one room to the other. And a little bit more about that in a short bit. I want to touch upon something which is really important for a few gamers. But moving or upgrading from my Xbox Series S to Xbox Series X was not really an impulsive decision. Now, I really waited it out because if you really look at the life cycle of these consoles, we are already midway as far as life cycle goes. So I took my time. I did my research. I also made the comparison of what is different about the Xbox Series X and the S. Well, for starters, the biggest difference is the fact that it has more teraflops in it. So the processing power is almost 3 times of what you get on the Xbox Series S. Now, what that allows you to do is get a much better graphical fidelity. Even the storage, when I compare it to my older Xbox Series S, is double because even with everything, I get 800 or 800 plus GB of storage on my Xbox Series X. The third major difference is that if you have game discs lying around, the Xbox Series S is an all digital console, but the Xbox Series X also has a disk drive. So if you are a person who likes collecting game discs, then you can definitely use the game drive and access all of those titles that you have collected over the last few years. So these are some of the major differences between the Xbox Series S and X. Of course, the graphic fidelity, I cannot emphasize enough on how much of a difference it is, especially if you have hooked up your console to a 4K 120 hertz television. Big difference, big difference. The sharpness that you get, the 4K HDR that you will get on the Xbox Series X is absolutely phenomenal. And you remember I told you that I have these consoles set up in different rooms? Well, here's the thing. When I'm gaming on my PC, right, I also like to use like a cheats trainer, something like Glitch. Maybe I can make a video on this. Hit me up and let me know in the comment section if you want a dedicated video on Glitch. Is it safe? Is it not? I can talk all about it so that you can also get your hands on Glitch. So speaking of a cheats trainer, now what I generally do is on Game Pass, one of the biggest benefits that I have is I get so many games that I can download both on my PC and on my Xbox. And these games I can switch because, hey, cloud save. Yeah. So I'm saving on the cloud and I can play on my PC and I can continue the same thing on my living room when it comes to the Xbox Series X. So if I'm playing in my bedroom with my laptop connected to my bedroom TV, I can continue in the living room as well. And here's the beauty. If on Plitch, I make any you could say, changes. For instance, the other day I was playing Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name. And on that game, I wanted to add some yen into my account because I wanted to purchase things as I move around the town. What I did was I logged into my computer, I used Glitch, I added a whole lot of yens into my account, and then cloud saved it. I moved over to my Xbox Series X and picked up from where I left off in my PC. And all those yens that I added from Glitch was still there on my Xbox Series X as well because, hey, cloud save. So this is something that you can do with your Xbox and your PC, but you can't do this on the PlayStation 5. So, in case you're wondering, why did you even have to move from an Xbox Series S to an Xbox Series X? Number one, different rooms, different consoles, different TVs. Number two, what I did on Game Pass, meaning Glitch, Cheats Trainer, Cloud Save, and then over to my console. I cannot do this on my PlayStation 5. That's why I wanted to get another console which had the graphical fidelity, and voila, Xbox Series X has that. And that was one of the key reasons as to why I moved over from the Xbox Series S to the Xbox Series X in my other room. All my cheats trainer I can still use. Now, some people, they may be against cheats. It's not bad if you're playing alone, but yes, it is definitely bad if you're playing online and if you're playing competitively. It is definitely not something that you should use, and I would not recommend using it if you're doing an online play. But if you're playing these self-contained games, story-driven games all alone, then yeah, you can use that, provided you want to progress in the game much faster and you want to experience the story faster. Then hey, you can use something like a Plitch because it is a cheat trainer at the end of the day, and you have all the things like unlimited health, unlimited wealth, guard mode, and all that stuff. Again, maybe I can make another video on Plitch. Let me know in the comment section if you would want me to do that. The other thing that I also wanted to mention is that when I finally purchased my Xbox Series X, I did not buy a new console. I actually purchased a refurbished or a used Xbox Series X. Now, I have been trading a lot of devices, not just consoles, but my electronic devices on a site called Game Loot. I'm going to put up the link of that particular website in the description box should you want to check it out. So, I wanted to trade, and you remember I said I traded my Xbox Series S. So when I traded my Xbox Series S, I got around 20,000 rupees worth of credit on this particular site, and the whole process was very seamless. All I did was just pack my Xbox Series S, and they had somebody who came to my door, picked up the console, and went. I didn't even have to post it anywhere. So it saves you the hassle of going to a post office and then posting your console. You'll get home pickup done by Game Loot, and that is absolutely fantastic. By the way, Game Loot is not paying me to say all these things. I wish they did because I'm saying positive things about them. But hey, they didn't pay me for this. But I have sold so many things on Game Loot now, like Nest speakers, and I intend to sell a few more stuff out there. But I sold my Xbox Series S. I got 20,000 for it. I sold my Xbox One, and I actually got 12,000 rupees for it. And that takes the total up to say about 32,000. And that's what I purchased this Xbox Series X for, which is 32,000 Indian rupees. So I saved almost close to, you could say, 15,000 in the process, because a new Xbox Series X, if I go to purchase that on Amazon, a new console would cost me around 47,000 Indian rupees. So I bought it for 32K, which means I saved 15,000. And if I want to, trade my Xbox Series X in the future, I can do that as well. Game Loot, check it out. And I can probably show you an unboxing as well very quickly so that you can take a look at how they send in the products. Because if you're concerned about are they going to pack it well, is it safe to get products from Game Loot? Let me tell you, they are absolutely genuine. Their support system is really good. If you contact them on WhatsApp or on their phone numbers, which is listed on the website, you will get a quick response from them, leaving weekends aside. But they are very, very prompt in terms of their response. And even when I sent over my consoles, I didn't really have to chase them up. It was a seamless process, like I told you. It was shipped out. I got a Blue Dart tracking number. It got delivered. It got tested for 2 days, and they credited my game loot wallet because I took credits for it. So the entire 32,000 was in my game loot wallet in a matter of a few days. So the whole process was seamless again. And it was fantastic. And finally, when I got that 32K, I purchased my Xbox Series X with that. So I'm just gonna put up a quick unboxing video just to show you. I might, speed up the whole video so that it's not very long, but just take a look at their packing. Just take a look at how they send the products in. Of course, it's not in the Xbox Series X box. If you want a new console, you're better off buying a new console to have that whole unboxing experience. But if you're okay buying a refurbished or a used product, Game Loot, I absolutely recommend them. So I just quickly wanted to point this out as well so that you can make an informed decision when you're buying your next console. The last thing that I do want to touch upon is we are already mid-cycle. Yeah, I already mentioned this in the video, but here's the reason as to why it's important. Now, when you take a game like Baldur's Gate, for instance, you already start seeing some limitations that Xbox Series has. So, for instance, the split screen option is not available in Baldur's Gate when you play it on the Xbox Series S, but you have it on the PlayStation 5 and on the Xbox Series X. So, mid cycle, I've already come into some limitations that I've experienced with the Xbox Series S. And I wanted to get into a scenario where I'm future proofing my console experience. So, that was one of the key reasons as to why I moved over. Leaving the graphical fidelity aside, the limitations is what really mattered to me. And it was a bit of a concern because if I pick up a game like Baldur's Gate, maybe it's just the start of something. Maybe there might be more limitations because remember, these games are only going to get bigger, massive in terms of file size. The textures, the models, all of that is only going to improve with time. It's not going to reduce. So if you are really playing those AAA titles, well, you might have some more restrictions when it comes to these games or limitations when it comes to these games on the Xbox Series S. So that is something that I completely wanted to avoid. And one of the major reasons why I moved over to the Xbox Series X was that. Now, another reason is, of course, I started a new gaming channel. If you're watching this on my new gaming channel, then I also want to make some more comparisons between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Now, some people already commented that when I made these comparison videos between the Xbox Series S and the PlayStation 5, some of them commented that it was not a fair comparison, and I completely agree. It was not, but I only had an Xbox Series S and a PlayStation 5. I did not have a Series X and a PlayStation 5. And if I really had to compare like two games, then these two consoles, well, they have like an apples to apples comparison that can be done. But the Xbox Series S is obviously a comparatively, I wouldn't exactly say an inferior console. It's just meant for um, a different set of gamers because mobility is something that the Series S offers, but when you take a device like the Series X, it's a hunk of a device. It's more than I think more than 4 kilos, close to 4.5 kilos, and that makes it super heavy. So forget about traveling with this console because it's super heavy. It's not something that you carry when you're traveling and when you're on the move, but the Series S, you can do that. Series X, very heavy. You can't do that. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend it. And now you have so many of these handhold or handheld PCs. Sorry, not handhold, handheld PCs like the Asus ROG, um, and you have Steam Deck. So you can play your games while you're on the move on these handheld PCs or these handheld gaming devices. So, but yeah, this was my 2 cents and why I moved over from the Xbox Series S to the Xbox Series X. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section and let me know if you think I've made the right decision. Now, if you have been wanting to buy a console and if you think which console is right for me, then let me give you a last bit of advice before you finally sign off this video. When you're buying a console for yourself, take a console based on the type of games that you play. Because a lot of people have asked me in my previous video when I compared an Xbox to the PlayStation 4, they asked me, which console should I get? The answer to that is it totally depends on what kind of games do you play and what kind of exclusive titles are you into. If you like titles like Horizon, Spider-Man, Uncharted, God of War, man, that's a big one. Then you definitely have to go along with the PlayStation 5. No two words about it. But if you like console games like Hellblade, Gears, Forza series, and you like day one releases, then of course Xbox Series X is the console to get. If you can get both. And in fact, even tie in a PC in there if you can. But if there's just one console that you have to buy or you can get your hands on, it all depends on what type of games do you play. So check out the game library, the exclusive titles, because most of the titles are available on both the consoles. But there are some exclusive titles that are limited to these individual consoles. So check out those titles and make your decision before you buy your next console. And I'll leave it at that for this particular video. Before you finally sign off, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button and also that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. And yeah, it's a wrap for this one. I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Until that time, I'll say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.